Our actions over the past week have sharpened the choice facing Russia now. We've laid out a diplomatic path. We've lined up steep consequences should Russia choose further aggression. We've stepped forward with more support for Ukraine's security and economy. And we and our allies and partners are united across the board. Now, we'll continue to press forward and prepare. It remains up to Russia to decide how to respond. We're ready either way.
A plain-spoken U.S. Secretary of State there, Anthony Blinken, this afternoon, saying today that the U.S. has delivered written responses to security demands from Moscow. Blinken explaining that the responses offer a serious diplomatic path forward should Russia choose it, but stress that there is no change and will be no change to one of Russia's biggest demands, NATO's open-door policy. Joining us now, State Department spokesperson Ned Price. Ned, I know it's a busy day for the humans who stand behind podiums in the Biden administration, so thank you for taking some time to talk to us. It was described by so many experts as being a non-starter, much of what Moscow wanted. What was put into writing?
Well, Nicole, what was put into writing is consistent with what we've been saying all along. Moscow has put forward its stated demands, some of which are non-starters. There are things that neither the United States nor our allies nor our partners will entertain. Things like a prohibition on any country joining NATO, basic tenets that one country should be allowed to dictate another country's foreign policy or partnerships or alliances. But what we did put forward in a positive, affirmative fashion are constructive ideas that we think have the potential to redound positively on our national security, the security of the transatlantic community, that is to say Europe, our allies and partners there, but ideas that also have the potential to respond to some of Moscow's stated security concerns. So we've talked about proposals for offensive missiles in Europe. We've talked about broader arms control mechanisms that we're happy to discuss with the Russian Federation. We've talked about means to increase transparency, to increase stability in Europe with Russia. Those are the ideas that we are willing, able, and ready to discuss with the Russian Federation in good faith. But as you heard from Secretary Blinken, the choice is Vladimir Putin's. The choice is up to the Russian Federation whether they want to pursue this path of dialogue and diplomacy or whether we have to continue down the path of deterrence and defense.
And it's clear, at least the administration has made it clear, and a turn seemed to take place over the weekend, that both those paths are being pursued aggressively, concurrently. Obviously, at the State Department, the focus is more on diplomacy. But how dependent are the levers, the hammers? I mean, how dependent is diplomacy on the threat of these crippling sanctions and on the alert or the heightened status of the 8,500 troops?
Well, you're exactly right. These are interconnected. So we have put forward very clearly the path of diplomacy and dialogue, but that hasn't prevented us from pursuing the path of defense and deterrence. And over the course of the past 2 months, we have been in non-stop communication, consultation, coordination with our allies and partners to put in place, should Moscow go forward with its aggression against Ukraine, a set of measures that would enact unprecedented, swift, and severe costs on the Russian Federation. We've talked about the financial sanctions, the economic measures, the export controls. But you've also heard us talk about our efforts to reassure and to reinforce not only Ukraine with the unprecedented levels of security assistance, defensive security assistance that we're providing to Kyiv, $650 million last year, more than in any other year, with deliveries arriving in recent hours and continuing going forward. But also what we're doing with the NATO alliance. And you referenced the 8,500 troops that are now at a heightened state of readiness. We have also said that if Russian aggression goes forward, that we will do more to reassure our NATO allies, because our commitment to NATO, our commitment to our allies is ironclad, and vice versa. The commitment of NATO allies to our partner Ukraine is also ironclad. We have a collective commitment to Ukraine's territorial integrity and sovereignty.
Some have suggested that the commitment is, in the heart, but that the logistics and the devil's in the details there. How much of the Secretary's diplomacy and diplomatic efforts is spent corralling and getting the allies on the same page as opposed to responding, whether in writing or otherwise, to Russia?
Nicole, our allies recognize the stakes. They have recognized the stakes since the United States first started to ring the alarm bell, to share intelligence, to share information, to convene our allies and partners together to share the concerns that we have, and frankly, the concerns Moscow may have in store for Ukraine. And they do that for a couple reasons. One, we have an ironclad commitment, NATO Article 5, when it comes to the potential for Russia to move against any NATO allies. But there's also a broader principle here that is at stake. Ukraine is important in and of itself. It's an important partner of the United States and our NATO allies. But in some ways, this is even bigger than Ukraine. And if the international community, the United States, our NATO allies, our partners, if we send a signal to Moscow that Putin can move forward with impunity, rewriting borders against the will of a sovereign, independent country, trying to dictate the foreign policy choices of a sovereign, independent country, trying to tell a sovereign, independent people the choices that they can and cannot make, that would have consequences well beyond Ukraine. It would have consequences for the rules-based international order that, frankly, has guaranteed unprecedented levels of stability, security, prosperity since the end of World War II. This is the system that not only the United States, but our NATO allies, and in some important ways, Russia, helped to create in the aftermath, in the ashes of a Second World War. We can't see that undermined. We can't see that undermined for the consequences that it would have for Europe, but also the consequences that would have for the entire globe. That includes in the Indo-Pacific, where we have made no secret about our concerns of certain countries there that are trying to do the same in terms of rewriting unilaterally the rules of the road.